Hi, everyone. Welcome to the National Cancer Institute's live event, Ask a Researcher, working in a cancer research lab. My name is Francine Baker, and I'm a post-baccalaureate fellow and iCure scholar working in the Laboratory of Translational Genomics, LTG for short. I'm here today with my mentor and chief of LTG, Dr. Ludmila Prokanina Olsen, but around here we call her Mila. LTG is in the Division of Cancer Epidemiology and Genetics, part of the National Cancer Institute, whose scientists study the causes of cancer and means of prevention. Today, our event is divided into three parts. First, you'll get to see a pre-recorded tour of our lab. Then, we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves and what it's like working in a cancer research lab. And finally, we'll open up questions from our viewers. We'll be happy to share our experience of working in cancer research lab. When answering questions, we will stick to topics of working in a cancer research lab and our experiences. Please do refrain from asking any personal health questions not about today's topic, as we won't be able to address those in today's event. To tell you a little bit about myself, I was born in the beautiful island of Jamaica, and I came over here as a young girl going to school, and I was raised by my grandparents. Now, they didn't have American education, and therefore they were not fully familiar with the education system here in the United States. And therefore, I struggled a little bit when it came time for me to prepare for college. I didn't know how best to prepare myself for college so that I can be a really, really strong candidate, even though I always knew I wanted to do something involved in medicine and or science. So I started a community college, and I got my certificate as an emergency medical technician because at the time I felt that was the best I can do. Then I got married, and I had children. And two of three of my children were born with sickle cell disease. With that, I knew that life would not be quite as expected, and I would end up probably spending a lot of time at home, which kind of is what happened. But once they started school, I decided that I wanted to go back to school because I really wanted to learn more about how I can best help them in managing their disease. In doing that, I discovered public health science, and I rediscovered my love of basic sciences. So I enrolled at the University of Maryland, and I got my undergraduate degree in public health sciences. And in doing so, I learned about the pathophysiology of diseases. I got involved in genetics and fell in love with biomedical research. Since then, I also got my master's in biology with a concentration in cancer prevention and control. So my path was kind of twisty and turny, not necessarily a straightforward path, but my path led me to where I am today at LTG. And it's a place where I look forward to growing myself professionally as a cancer researcher. Mila, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Francine. First of all, thank you very much for your very personal story. And my story is not so far away from your story. So now I'm a lab chief in the Laboratory of Translational Genomics. I also a senior investigator, which means I have my own lab. And Francine, you are a part of this lab it's a subset of Laboratory of Translational Genomics. A bit about me. So I was born in Siberia, in Russia, and through my life, I lived, studied, and worked in three countries: in Russia, then in Sweden, and since 16 years ago in the States. I speak three languages, and most of them with an accent, but it's okay. I got my two beautiful daughters before I even started my PhD. So you see, it took me a long time and not necessarily very straightforward line to get where I am right now, but it doesn't matter. I'm here now, and I'm doing what I absolutely love. I'm doing cancer research. This is also important because during different stages of my career, different people encouraged and supported my journey. And this is what I'm striving to do now. I'm looking for talented people who are coming or trying to come to cancer research, and I'm trying to give them this encouragement and support that they will use to then proceed in their career. So let's go on and discuss other questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Mila. But before we do that, I would like to take everyone on a tour of our lab. So we have what is called a bench bay concept. And what that basically means is that on one side, we have our benches, and our benches is where we conduct our experiments. And then on the other side is our bay. It contains our desk. It's basically our workstation. It's where we do our literature review. It's where we do data analysis. It's where we have our very many Zoom meetings. Here we have a BioBank. This robot is an automated liquid handling workstation. It dispenses and removes liquid in 96 well plates, which basically means it makes life easier for us. It can do so much at once. So for example, we use this robot to clean PCR products for Sanger DNA sequencing. Instead of pipetting liquid into each well one at a time, you can use this big robotic pipette to do it all at once. And so we see this giant robot in motion, and it's super cool because once, you got the color going, and two, the machine is doing all the work. How awesome is that? This is a real-time PCR machine, which we use to genotype samples for specific genetic variants. This robotic arm is going to come and collect this 384 well plate. 384 well plate is going to be loaded up with samples that we want to know the genotype for. There's a barcode that's on the plate that we use to ensure that whatever is coming from here will translate over into the machine and also onto the computer, so when we pull it up, we know that everything is matching up, it goes to the right plate, right samples, and then there's no mistakes, because the last thing you want to do is mix genotypes up. That will just ruin your entire experiment. So this is a cell culture room where fellows in Mila's lab, we do all of our lovely cell cultures. And today's your lucky day, because I got some cell culturing to do. I really only have media to change, but still, it's really important that we change out the media of our culture, because cells like a happy, healthy environment, because they're human cells and we're humans, and we like happy, healthy environment, so our cells like happy, healthy environment. So I'm going to change out the media, and media is basically their food. So this is what we call an incubator. This is where we keep our cells. Some are in flasks, some are in plates. Everything inside the hood is sterile. Everything outside the hood is not sterile. So before we put anything in the hood, we spray it down with 70% ethanol. I'm just going to remove the old media. I'm going to give it a wash just to get rid of any dead cells. Just wash it around, just trying to get rid of anything that junk that's left behind. Aspirate that. I'm going to add some fresh media. And that, my friends, is all there is to changing media. I'm going to put this back in the incubator. We have more cool instruments here at LTG that we use for our experiments, but today I showed you some of the ones that we use every day, specifically the ones that I use in the work that I do. I hope that this experience and this tour has gotten you excited about cancer research and even more excited about the field of research on a whole. If you're interested and you want to learn more about the work that we do here at LTG, please visit dceg.cancer.gov. If you're interested in doing an internship or a research training here, please visit training.nih.gov. Thank you for stopping by and spending this time with me. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that video and taking that tour with me as much as I enjoyed giving it. We're going to now turn to some questions that we got in advance. Mila, the first question that we have here is for you to tell us a little bit about why you got into a career in cancer research.
Well, first of all, I didn't get to career in cancer research immediately. I first started in plant genetics when I was 16. And then many years later, after my education, I got to human genetics. And then I worked in genetics of autoimmune disease. And then I worked on genetics of type 2 diabetes. And only when I got my postdoctoral fellowship completed, I got into genetics of cancer. So as you can see, the main word in my the whole narrative is genetics. So I love genetics and I love to apply it to different diseases, and cancer is probably one of the most difficult of them. And I will keep doing and keep solving this problem as long as I can. What about you, Francine?
That's a really good answer. I got into cancer research because one of the things that really intrigued me was how our human cells decide that they want to go rogue and they kind of grow and divide uncontrollably. And even though that we have specific checks and balances that are in place that are there for the whole purpose of preventing our cells from doing, from growing out of control, some way, somehow, these cells find a way to bypass those checkpoints. And I'm just really intrigued by what causes that. And so one of the things that I'm extremely interested in is infectious causes of cancer. And so that's one of the areas of cancer research that I am currently looking to explore even more, the different infectious diseases or infections that does lead to different kinds of cancers.
Okay. So I realize our days may look different, your day and my day, but so can you tell me a little bit about what's your typical day in the lab or outside of the lab, teleworking looks like now?
Typical. There really isn't such thing as a typical day, I don't think, just because there's so many unknowns when it comes to research, right? So I can expect that my day is going to go one way. And then when I get into a lab, depending on what might need to be done, or depending on if there is a meeting that might come up that wasn't expected, or how the result of an experiment that I started overnight comes out, that whole plan could change. So perhaps the thing that is most typical for my day is that any given day is something that's completely unexpected. What I do know that will happen is that every day I'm going to learn something new. And that's something that I can guarantee that at the end of the day, I would have learned at least one new thing. And that's probably one of the things that I love the most. How about you, Mila? What does a typical day for the branch chief look like?
Yeah, so of course my day looks very much different compared to what it was 18 months ago, right? So now we're trying to squeeze as many meetings as possible, virtual meetings, including lab meetings with you guys. And this is probably the most exciting part of my day, when I can talk science with you, when I can plan, discuss our experiments and interpret results, and hopefully then write papers and prepare presentations. But also my day includes a lot of administrative activities, which are also important. But I'm trying to do as much science myself as I can, but now I'm also doing it with you and through you, and hope you can catch this research bug and continue finding exciting and even solve this very challenging problem with cancer.
Yeah, good answers, and I really definitely do think you do that well, Mila. So, what's the favorite part of your job then?
So, my favorite part of the job is the job to solve problems. And these problems can be scientific problems, as how to explain and first of all detect and then explain a genetic association and figure out what kind of molecular phenotype of this association, how exactly it contributes to cancer or any other disease. But my job also, which I also like, is to help you guys, help trainees, help next generation of scientists to be excited, to get excited and stay excited and find the tools and different opportunities to advance your research and take this question forward and hopefully answer it within one generation, not 5 generations. So kind of it's both solve these problems myself and also help you to develop skills and identify relevant questions to ask, to spend your time to address. So this is my favorite part of this work. What about you, Francine?
Yeah, I think that's a really kind of difficult question for me to answer because I'm like so like new to this, right? And I, I think that one part that I really of the job that I really enjoy doing is like I love to learn, right? So I often would joke like if I can get paid to just go to school and keep learning, I would totally do that. So that's one of my favorite parts of the job is just the opportunity that I get to come in and I get to learn. I get to be immersed in scientific research that I know is going to make a difference in the lives of people impacted by cancer, which is an added bonus to my favorite part of the job. I am making a difference in the life of people that's impacted with cancer, that's affected with cancer. And no matter how small of a task that it may be, the work that we do here is important. Understanding how genetics play a role in cancer, diagnosis, progression, and treatment, it matters. Even though we ourselves do not do clinical trials, the work that we do helps to impact those who do clinical trials. And so it's we all work together. We're a part of a puzzle, and I love putting jigsaw puzzles together. So we are a part of a puzzle, and then when we're all done, that puzzle creates a beautiful masterpiece that in the end is going to be something that benefits the collective. And so that to me is just like the perfect part of the job.
Okay, so let me ask you, what advice or tips would you give someone who is interested in entering research and specifically cancer research?
Yeah, my best advice is go for it. Go for it, go for it, go for it. Don't be afraid. Don't let what you think a typical scientist looks like or thinks like or does scare you into going for that thing that you might be interested in. At the end of the day, it's your love, it's your passion, it's your drive, it's your desire to learn, it's your desire to impact the lives of others that's really going to set you apart. You heard my story. You heard Milla's story. She crossed how many continents and gone to how many countries, and here she sits today as a lab chief, as a branch chief rather, and it's because of that dedication and that passion that we both have. And so, if it doesn't seem like you fit or you belong, then you kind of have to make your way in there. Find great mentors like Mila. Find someone who that you can connect with that can help you to find your place in the world of cancer research. I guarantee you, there's somebody out there for you, but you just got to go for it. That's like the best advice that I can give. You just got to go for it.
I would also add to that yes, if you are interested, if you think this is something very, very interesting to you, or you think that you might be interested, but how do you know? You never tried it. So it's really hard to know if this is something for not just in the movies, but if it's a day-to-day career. So you need to try. So if you are interested, find a way to find internship, either through NIH, and we will provide some links to resources for training in NIH. And also, you can explore your local resources. There are universities, there are cancer centers, there are other options to explore, at least to try the career you want, because this is a career and this is for life. So you definitely want to know if this is for you and it's not just something you kind of think could be. But again, if this is something you really consider as a potential career choice, you need to put some efforts to get where you need to get to even become intern in NIH. And from my personal experience, I had people in my lab, I have interns, summer interns, and then they were coming back as postdocs who came from very unrelated subjects. They had undergraduate degrees in music, in theater, in languages, in different languages. And at some point they realized that, no, this is not what I want to do, but I really want to explore biomedical career. And of course, it does not happen overnight because you need to actually complement your degree. You may need to get credits in community college or in a university. So you need to earn your qualifications before you can proceed. But if this is what you really want, you will do it. It takes work. And of course, it may take longer time to get where you need to be, but still it's not impossible. Okay, so don't just dream about it. Make a plan. Find people who inspire you. Find people who can give you advice and also suggest you what exactly to do or kind of discuss these career options with you. And once you decide it, go for it. And you also, once you apply to some places and you're not getting a response or you're not getting the response you want, also don't get it to you, right? So don't take it personal. There are so many great candidates, and I wish we could take all of them, but we can't. You know, if you did not succeed in the first time around, just do it again. See what you can improve in your application, what kind of academic credits you can improve, what kind of experiences you can get. So work on your package, right? So ask advice from people who know a little bit more than you do, and try again. So just don't give up easily, otherwise you're not viable in science if you're giving up easily. So go for your dreams, but you know that it takes work to do. Okay. So with that, so let's discuss, Francine. You know, with all these obstacles which we have to overcome every day, or at least often. So what keeps you going?
Yeah, my family keeps me going. Like above all else, my family. They are my number one supporter. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even be here today. Science is stressful, it's crazy, it's chaotic, and like you said, it's not for people who give up easy. So you definitely have to keep going. You have to keep pushing through those hard times. And so I have my family that's there to help support me. I also have really super awesome mentors. I'm here today with Mila, and she's one of many mentors that I have. And my mentors, they pour into me. They encourage me professionally. They encourage me personally. Here at LTG, I also have a co-mentor, Sam Mobalatai. Sorry, not at LTG, at DCEG. He's in another laboratory in DCEG. But, again, he and Mila work together to make sure that I have everything that I need so that I can be a successful cancer researcher. It's mentors, it's families, it's those individuals that see your value and see your worth, that constantly for me, pour into me and encourage me and pushes me. They don't just let me stay where I am. They push me to that next level. Sometimes they don't like it, but they do it anyway, because they they know where I want to be, and they're trying to help me to get there. And I would definitely say that if for those of you out there that are thinking about a career in cancer research, if you don't see someone that looks like you, please don't let that deter you from getting involved in cancer research. That is exactly one of the reasons why we need more people, right? Because I hope that, looking at Mila and I and the young women that are out there, they're like, oh, wow, I see two strong women in cancer research. They're doing it. I can do it too. And so definitely know that, with the right people in your corner, you can do it too. And, be the person that the next generation can look to help bring them along as well. How about you, Mila? What helps keep you going?
Well, of course, my family, my daughters. But speaking about science, I want to be that person in your corner, okay? And I want to also drive science forward, and understanding also that in addition to our individual contribution, we all together contribute little by little. And as a society of scientists, we move this field forward. And at some point, we might solve this puzzle together. So it's like you mentioned already a puzzle, and think about a Sudoku, and you can sometimes be stuck and cannot decide which exactly, which digit, which number goes into this square. But if someone can solve this specific number, then all numbers after that come easily, because this was a centerpiece which was critical for this puzzle. And the problem is that we never know who can solve this puzzle and who can solve this critical piece of the puzzle. And this can come from anyone, regardless of their education, experience, origin, and anything else. So that's why we need to give these opportunities to very different people, because they can bring this unique take to these problems and unique solutions, which will help us as a society together. So here in NCI, we welcome and encourage diversity in different shapes and forms, including this diversity of thinking, of ideas, of creativity that will help us to move this field forward collectively. And I want to be one of those people who help it, and I'm always in your corner. So
Yes, I can definitely confirm that. Um, Super awesome. Now we are going to turn to some live questions from our viewers. And for that, we have our social media manager, Jennifer, who will be asking them. Hi, Jennifer, are you? Okay, we are connecting Jennifer's audio. So in a second, Jennifer will be live with us.
this is this is live event, so you can see we're not hiding anything. But thanks for inviting us to participate and share our experiences, and hopefully inspire next generation of scientists, current generation of scientists, and everyone else who is listening.
Yeah, this has been a really exciting opportunity. And, I really do hope that those that are watching live, once this is over, that you will share with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers, with your nieces, your nephews, your cousins. Because, yeah, the best way that we can get people excited about cancer research and involved in biomedical sciences is for you to go out there and share this information with them. Yes, I can do that. Okay, so we are having technical difficulties, but that's okay. We're going to keep right on moving. So our first question
And I'll put
is,
it on the screen. There we go.
what is one of the coolest projects that you have worked on? So, Mila, I'm going to let you go ahead and answer that one first because I need time to think about it.
Okay, so it might be a little bit difficult for Francine to answer because she's been in the lab just for a year, and this includes the pandemic year, and our project is still ongoing, and that means it's the coolest project of her life so far. But we work on projects which are related to bladder cancer, and we also work on interferon lambda 4, which is interferon which we discovered here at NCI, and we are now exploring its connection to both cancer and immune response to infections. So it affects immunity. And from my point of view, this is the coolest project we have, but also, and Francine is working on this project, so she's working both on genetics of interferon lambda 4 and function, both in relation to some infections, especially in Africa, in African children. And then we also study the functional implications of lambda 4. But as a lab, we also work on bladder cancer, where we are trying to explain genetic associations identified by genome-wide association studies and find translational applications of these findings, basically explain why some people get cancer and why some people get this specific type of cancer and maybe more aggressive or less aggressive, and eventually how would it help the prevention and maybe treatment of bladder cancer specifically. So these projects are all exciting, and I cannot just single out one of them. So hopefully this will do.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that goes on in LTG. So to pick one, good job with talking about the two that you did talk about.
And we also worked on COVID, so we actually added something more to our portfolio, which is also exciting. But we don't have time to talk about it now.
Yeah, so I was actually going to bring that up because even though I didn't like work on it, so again, like Mila said, I am relatively new to the lab. It's been a little over a year now, and it's been during the pandemic, so it's been kind of crazy. But one of the exciting things that I got to participate in or to watch as it took place was how the lab worked with COVID, and just like, it's so novel, it's so new, it's so everyone is still trying to learn about it and trying to figure it out. And it was just a really amazing and awesome thing to see research taking place in real time on something that is happening right now. It's different than some of the other research that we do, which is not real time, like the patient has already had the cancer and then we're taking the cells and then, we look at cells in vitro. This is like COVID is happening now and we're studying this thing now. And so for me, that was really exciting. It's like, oh my goodness, I get to say that, I was in a lab that studied COVID. So that to me was something that's exciting. Um, Oh, I'm going to take this one. How do you find good mentors? Yeah. So you stalk them. Social media is your friend. This is one really good use of social media. Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, kind of, sort of, depending on NCI has a Facebook page. But you look people up, you see what they're tweeting about, you see where they're from, and that is like one really, really great way to like find people that you're interested in and you want to learn more about their research, and you might want to do an informational interview with them. And because oftentimes, like I know Mila tweets and she tweets about her work and she tweets about her paper. So like there's no way that I would not have known about Mila if I'm someone that's on Twitter. I would have definitely know who Mila is. And then from there, you can go further into, finding more information about them, whether it's at their university or whether it's at, where they work, like NCI, because like if you click on a paper that Mila is an author on, it's going to list her as a correspondent and it'll have her email information. So it's one way that you can find good mentors is to follow people on Twitter, connect with people on LinkedIn, and sometimes you just start conversations that way, not in the creepy kind of way, but in the professional kind of way. Do you have any advice, Mila, on how to find a good mentor?
Yes, so I would also add when we're going to be living people in real life also, it's very important that when you have an opportunity, when you see someone who inspires you, you can approach them, you can talk to them, you can ask questions, you can get something out of this conversation. And then, of course, I don't mean stalking, but still you can connect to people. And if there is something you connect on professional level, on scientific questions, you can continue talking to them. And then opportunities appear. You need to grab these opportunities when they come your way. Or you look for opportunities actively, you apply, you apply for any open positions, you identify those opportunities, but also you want to be of use to your mentor in terms that you grow, you develop your skills, you show that you can contribute to the projects, not just like we don't need admirers, we need people who can help, who can solve our problems, who can contribute to this very difficult question, but from different angle. So if you have something to say it, because it might be important, and you will get attention of people who will find a place in their labs or in their teams for you to become a team member. Okay.
Yeah. And Mila, something we didn't mention is like professional associations. And
Yes.
this is something that I learned from Mila, is that as a high school student, it's free. I didn't know that. So that's like a really great way also to connect with professionals in the space that you're interested in, and also to find really great mentors. So I would, strongly advise that if you're interested in a particular career or area, to go find these professional associations or organizations and join them, especially if you're in high school and you can do it for free. Please take advantage of that opportunity. I promise you, when you grow up and you're doing the whole adulting thing, it's not free and it's a lot of money. So take advantage of that opportunity now while you can.
Okay. Don't scare them away. It's I think it's free even for students. So it's not till much later. And it's not a lot of money. Okay.
But free is good.
Okay.
So if I want to work at NCI after I finish, how do you recommend I go about that?
So let me take that, because Francine, you are not at that level yet. So you should look at different NCI resources and NIH resources, and I think that these links will be provided at some point. And you look for open positions. Okay, so everyone who is looking for someone in NIH, they are posting their positions for people to apply. Additionally, you can also look up people in the NIH on a website and look for people specifically in the area you are interested in, and you can contact them. And maybe they don't have an opportunity right now, but once they have an opening, they will keep you in mind, especially if your application is professional, if it's really impressive application and it's somewhat personal, not like just, hey, professor, I want to come to you. So don't do that. So give it a little bit of attention, give it a little bit of an effort, so it looks interesting for a person who's going to read that. Okay, then there are additional opportunities. There's a graduate festivals for students who can participate, and they come to NIH specifically to look for positions of postdoctoral fellows in NIH. It's competitive, but that means it's also very selective, and it's very high quality candidates we are looking at. But this is something to consider. Then again, at different professional societies, if you're going for a meeting, you definitely can look at the board, information board, where positions are posted, and you can post your also interest. So kind of look for people, look for connections. Meetings are a very good place where you can connect to people in your area of search, and then just follow up on those connections and show some consistent interest in your achievements that can, again, indicate that you are a serious player in this field. Hope that this helps.
So what kind of studies are you currently working on? So we kind of answered some of that when we talked about like the favorite projects part, interferon lambda 4 and bladder cancer research. Do you want to elaborate on that anymore, Neela?
Yeah, so I think that we may just to cut our time here, so we can say that we are working on our favorite studies. All our studies are favorite. So we're working on very interesting, exciting, and favorite studies, which are generally related to genetics and function, molecular mechanisms of bladder cancer. Then we are working on this interferon lambda 4, which we are applying to different aspects of immunity, including cancer and infections. And hopefully not for a long time, but for some time, we are also working on COVID, especially on genetics of COVID. And stay tuned about this research and about these publications. So I think we can wrap it up on that. So Francine, do you want to take that?
Sure. What advice do you have for young women trying to break into the field? Yeah, so again, I'm going to go back to finding good mentors, and especially good female mentors, because if there's a female mentor that's already there, that's already succeeding, then I guarantee you they have a success story behind them getting to where they are today. And so, reach out to them. Find people that are in areas of interest to you and reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. I've heard this so many times, and it really is true. When you are in like undergraduate and in high school, when you're a student, basically, there are so many people that are interested in talking to students and connecting with students and helping students on their career trajectory to help them get to that next level. When you're in a training position, there are so many people that are there that are just rooting for you. So, connect with those individuals and again, join those professional societies. There's even a whole I think like an association for women in science. So if you're interested in science and you're a woman, there's a whole association for you. Go check them out and take your pick of female mentors. And then if you're in high school or even in college, look at your counselors, go to your counselors, go to your science teachers, or whatever teacher that you already have a bond with. If you have a bond with that person, then that's a good place to start. It doesn't have to be, a mentor doesn't have to be like a formal thing. Just as long as you have someone that's in your corner, then go for it. So definitely reach out to those females that you know that are successful and have been successful, and just start that conversation.
I would also add to this point, not even how to break in to start with, but how to return to science. In both in Francine's and my example, so we had time when we got our children, and then we tried to, or we did not try, but we went for it. We were coming back to science, and this time can be associated with a lot of insecurities, or kind of, okay, do I belong to this field? Is it too late for me? Is it too difficult for me? So we might be looking for excuses, and that's where you specifically need support, because you kind of need to deal with your children, with your families, and maybe not a lot of support, but still you can find people who will say that, yes, you belong here. If you have something to say, if you are interested and you have something to bring to the table, you can. It just sometimes you need to have this support even to find this path. Who do you go and talk to? Which program will you take? How do I arrange all these logistics? But it just, it's really hard to say hypothetically, but it's doable. It might be more difficult than in other situations, but it is doable. It just takes effort. Okay, and mentors are important here, at least maybe not formal mentors, because mentors can be in different shapes and forms. It's people who support you, who advocate for you, who would say, no, don't give up, Asiya, don't do it. Try once again. They might not understand exactly what you're doing, but they will still provide you support which you need. So mental support, moral support. So just rely on these people, and also hopefully be this support for someone else when they will need it. Okay.
Yeah, that's really good advice, because I think that also helps us in that camaraderie, that feeling, that because the imposter syndrome is so real. And when we're supporting each other, I think that really helps us build our confidence, and it's a really important part of, like you said, that whole mental health component of being a good scientist and being a good researcher. So we got to take care of all of that.
And I would say also it's maybe more important, more specific. Women are more vulnerable to that, but it also does not exclude men, especially men coming from the societies, backgrounds which are not well represented in science, and they always going to question, or often going to question, that do I belong here? Is there a place at the table for me? So this is something that we have to consider, that, okay, we should provide support and this encouragement, and word of advice when needed for anyone who needs that and who wants to break in science.
Absolutely. So this next question is going to be our last question. I am interested in applying to iCure, so I guess this one is for me. Can you tell me about your experience? Yeah, so iCure, I definitely recommend it. It is the intramural component of the continuing umbrella of research experiences. It's a part of the National Cancer Institute, and it's where we have an opportunity to connect with mentors such as Mila. So they connect us with mentors, and they help us to find a research lab that will suit our needs, and where it also provides us with professional development resources as well as training. So we have a cohort. It's a small cohort, but it's a nice size cohort. But it's small specifically so that we can get to know each other and work together with each other. It's hard during COVID, but they definitely did make it as fun and as accessible as possible. And again, you have to apply to be an iCure Scholar. So you apply to NCI, and then you apply to the iCure program, and then you get selected. It's as rigorous as just applying to NCI itself. But the really cool thing about it, like I said, is that they connect you with mentors. You're able to select a mentor that fits your needs and research that also is in line with your interest. They offer professional development opportunities and workshops. We meet with our director one on one every other month. So they help us to be able to achieve our goals. So if you're interested in applying for iCure, we can definitely provide that information. You would have to visit cancer.gov, but it's not through DCEG, it's through another part of NCI. But yeah, if you want to learn more about iCare, definitely I would encourage you can reach out to me and I can tell you more about that.
And there are some additional programs also, Introduction to Cancer Research Career and program for community college students. So there are a number of programs, and we had NLTG fellows from all of these programs for many years, and we always welcome you guys. So please consider and apply.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're just about out of time, Mila. I'd like to remind our viewers that this video will appear both on the National Cancer Institute social media pages and on NCI's YouTube channel. Any questions in the comments that we did not get to today will be answered shortly. To find out more about the work done in LTG, or if you're looking for a fellowship or summer internship at the National Cancer Institute, please visit dceg.cancer.gov. We thank you all for tuning in to the latest social media event hosted by the National Cancer Institute. Mila, do you have any parting words for our guests?
No, thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to meet with you, maybe virtually for now, but hopefully in person at some point later. And if you dream about something, do something about it. Go for your dreams. Good luck.
Yeah, and thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mila, for doing this with me. And you know, I just want to leave everyone with my favorite quote. It is from the movie Finding Nemo, and it's from Dory. Just keep swimming.
Yes.
U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, National Institutes of Health, National Cancer Institute, cancer.gov, 1-800-4-CANCER.